Will staying off-site ruin your Walt Disney World vacation? How important is it to stay at a Disney-owned property when visiting Walt Disney World? Let's talk about it.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica. Now let's jump into this week's episode.
Hi guys, it's Becca here. We are giving Jessica the week off, and we're going to be doing that throughout this summer, taking turns hosting some solo series episodes so that we can each have a little time to spend with our families and travel. But today I wanted to talk to you because I have done a few trips already this year, plus some other trips where I have stayed both offsite and onsite while visiting Walt Disney World Resort. And there are definitely some differences that you need to consider when making this decision. So let's dive right in. First off, thing you need to know right off the bat is that Walt Disney World is a whole different beast than Disneyland. Disney World is as big as the city of San Francisco, and you're not going to be able to just stay directly across the street from Magic Kingdom if you're not staying with the Disney property. It's important that you understand there are a lot of things to take into consideration when deciding whether to stay off-site or on-site when visiting Walt Disney World. So the first thing I want to talk about is price. While you could save some money staying off-site at Walt Disney World, it may not save you as much as you think. For example, the first time I stayed off-site, I went with two friends and my sister. And so we stayed in a condo-style hotel off-site so that we could all have plenty of room to spread out. We could also make some food and just enjoy our time at our resort without feeling like we were on top of each other. That said, we did end up Ubering back and forth to the parks, which cost us a pretty penny with four of us and then some um, health devices we had to take. We had to get an Uber XL, Lyft XL every single time that we went to the parks. And that would cost us $30 to $50 at times once you added in the gratuity for the driver. And if you're coming back midday, which we did because we were there in September and it was sweltering, um, that really starts to add up where it may have been better for us to just book two rooms at a value resort on site at Walt Disney World. Contrast that to when we recently went with my husband, our twins, and the same two friends. We stayed at the Sonesta ES off-site that was very close to Walt Disney World property. And this time we rented a vehicle. Our hotel, we booked it through our partners at getawaytoday.com/castletalk. So they did offer super discounted parking when we booked through them. We paid about $15 a night. Our rental car was like $200 for the week. And we were able to drive back and forth. We did have to pay for parking, which I believe was $30-ish a day, but you had in and out privileges. So we only had to pay once a day on the days we went to the parks. And it worked out really well as far as that's concerned. And we did save money. We were again in a 2-bedroom condo this time. The first time was a 3-bedroom condo, but it worked out really well. It was closer to the parks. We were taking our own mobility device, so we did have to rent one that could be broken down and put into the van that we had rented, but it was a great option for us during that stay. So this second one I just talked about, I then said goodbye to my family and my friends, and my friend Tony came to join me partway through. She was there a couple nights in the offsite hotel before my friends left and my husband and kids had gone. And then we switched to on property. And that was nice because it was just the two of us. We were able to stay at this Pop Century, which is on the Walt Disney World Skyliner. We had free transportation around the parks and we got some extra perks. So let's get down to the perks of staying on site and what you lose when you stay off site. So the first perk that you lose is that free transportation to get from your hotel to the different parks. While some offsite hotels will offer a free shuttle or a shuttle that's a minimal cost, they are very limited in the times that you can go and come from the parks. So I definitely think that that is something to think about. I do not like to be on a schedule of a hotel where they're running a shuttle once an hour, or I have to wait to leave, or they only do return ones after a certain time. That's just not my thing. I know that you still use buses at Walt Disney World hotels, but they are more constant, happen more often, and also then it's my choice to Uber if I want to come back early, and they run all day long. The other perk that you're going to find that you have on site is you do have that early entry perk. And there are a few partner hotels that are off site, but in the Walt Disney World Resort area that have this perk. However, if you're staying at a Walt Disney owned and ran hotel, you definitely have this perk. And that is getting you into the parks 30 minutes early every single day of your stay that you are going inside the theme parks. And you can choose whatever park you're going to that day to get in 30 minutes early. It's not like Disneyland used to be where it would rotate. Every one of the four parks offers it every morning. And you think 30 minutes isn't much, but it is a big perk, especially for major attractions, and especially for major attractions that are using the single rider, um, not single rider, the Lightning Lane single pass. Because if you don't want to pay extra for those, that can be $25, $30, whatever, you are going to want to get in line for those rides during your early entry. We did utilize this for Flight of Avatar and Pandora in Animal Kingdom, and we were able to be done with that ride just shortly after the original park opening time. So we waited 35 minutes at most because we were off the ride by 5 minutes after opening. That ride can often be up to 2 or more hour wait times. So that was a huge benefit to not have to purchase that single pass lightning lane for that ride. And that brings me into the next perk you get when you stay on site for Walt Disney World, and that is the booking of lightning lanes. This is going to be a little confusing, so hopefully I word this well. I always worry I don't. But if you are staying on site at Walt Disney World, you may start making your lightning lane selections 7 days before you check in. And so if you are checking in on Sunday the 9th, Sunday the 2nd, you can start making your lightning lane selections. At Walt Disney World, you do get to make those in advance. And how that is you pay for it and you make 3 selections. And there's some rules around that we're not going to get into in this episode. But you make those three up to 3 a day. And you can also purchase up to 2 single ride lightning lanes that utilize that system per day. Not only can you make it 7 days in advance, whereas if you're off-site, you can only do it 3 days in advance. The biggest perk I find is that in addition to making it 7 days in advance, you can make it for your entirety of your stay up to 10 days. So again, you're arriving on Sunday the 9th, and let's say you're staying through the 18th. You can, on Sunday the 2nd, make your lightning lane selections for your entire trip, which means you're going to be one of the first people getting them for that 17th, 18th, those dates, because of the fact that it is so far out. Back to the off-site hotels, you can only make lightning lane reservations 3 days in advance, like I mentioned, but you also have to do it day by day. This may not be a big deal if you're only going for a couple of days. Where I find it to start to be a bigger deal is if you're planning on using Lightning Lane and you are going for a longer trip, because now you are having to wake up and make sure to make those lightning lanes while you are on your trip. And that gets to be a little overwhelming. So I think that is a downside. There are a lot of other random differences between staying offsite and onsite. For instance, if you book a Walt Disney World package onsite, you can also book a dining package. And sometimes those are free or discounted depending on what specials they are running, but you aren't able to do those dining packages when you stay offsite. Personally, I think dining packages are a convenience, not really a savings, even when they offer the free dining, because you have to give up any other discounts to get that. But um, I I do think that it is something to think about because some people like to have their vacation completely paid for, including most of the dining, and so that dining package is a big draw for a lot of people. Again, there are a lot of other little things that you may miss out on, but those are the main ones I think most people should consider. Now, who do I think would benefit from staying offsite versus onsite? I actually do think offsite is better in some situations. I think if you're traveling with a large group and you want a lot of space, sometimes offsite is the better option, especially if you are all trying to have a little bit better budget. Also, if you're planning on going to multiple places. So, yeah, you might be doing Walt Disney World, but you're also doing Universal or Legoland or Busch Gardens. If you're planning on doing a lot of things and you do not want to hotel hop, staying offsite can be a great option. Also, those that want to be able to cook a lot of their own food, um, if you have dietary restrictions, anything like that, it also might be a great option. Now, don't get me wrong, Walt Disney World does have villas that are available at their deluxe properties because those are also Disney vacation properties, but those are very expensive. So staying off site will save you a lot of money there. Another time I think staying off site is great is when you have a mixed group, like when I went with my husband and twins, but we also had our friend and her daughter. It was a better option for us to have a space that had the common living area, but also had our own bedrooms and bathrooms that we could split up. And again, it allowed us to stock up on some food and have things that we could take into the parks because honestly, I'm not a foodie. A couple of my kids aren't foodies, so it's not a big draw for us to be purchasing food inside of the parks very often. Another reason you may choose to stay off site is just because of the fact that you want the space. You want to escape the bubble of Disney because it can be overwhelming. I will admit that are a lot of places within your resort that you're still going to feel the crowds and there's going to be music and there's going to be stuff going on around. So a lot of people will actually want to get away from that and have a more relaxing area that feels more private. And so sometimes that can be done by going to a hotel that is, condo style, extended stay style, or by renting a vacation rental home in the area. I do think that it is also good for people that are going in the off season that they might want to stay. But again, you also have lower hotel prices in the off season at Disney, so it's kind of a toss up. We went during the off season when we did the trip with my husband and twins and friends and everything. And so we stayed off site and it didn't matter that much because we did not need Lightning Lane multi-pass because of the fact that the crowds were very low. We went shortly after the holidays ended. School was back in session. We had pulled the twins from school to go on this little trip. And it was where we could, just go on rides. The lines weren't that long. I also think if you're someone that's like, okay, not doing everything, it's a great option to stay off site because you don't need those lightning lanes because you can pick and choose what rides are the most important to you during your trip. So that said, I do think that there are a lot of options for everyone out there, but I do think most people will benefit from staying on site, especially if it is your first time visiting Walt Disney World because Disney World has all of that transportation built in. And the cast members are so knowledgeable. And at your resort, you have cast members that can help answer your questions about your vacation. And so I think that is a big bonus for anybody that is wanting to visit Walt Disney World for their first visit. I think staying on site is a great option for them. Now, whether you're wanting to stay on site or off site, the great news is our partners at Getaway Today work with both types of vacationers and the properties for both. So you can book either on site through them or you can book some off site ones and you'll still get discounted hotel rates, their discounted tickets, and the great customer service that they have at Getaway Today. You can visit them at getawaytoday.com/castletalk and just make sure to click on one of those little pictures to go explore your Disney and other theme park vacations.
You've been listening to Castle Talk Radio. For exclusive discounts on tickets and hotels, free guides, and to listen to past episodes, visit castletalkradio.com.